Our next guest covers soccer for Field Level Media and for Bleacher Report. He is Ian Nicholas Quillen, and he's with us right now here on GCR. Ian, it's Glenn and Drew. How are you, man? How much are you losing your mind knowing what's about to happen for the next couple of weeks?
I'm doing great and terrible at the same time, I think, as a lot of us are covering this sport. The World Cup is always incredibly exciting, and it's also incredibly manic, and then everything off the field going on adds an additional layer to it. Not to mention being in our own backyard.
Wait,
so
you're saying there's something going on off the pitch? I haven't heard of any stories whatsoever. I haven't heard anything at all. Ian, let's start with the part that people want to try to pretend they care about. What are the realistic practicalities for the United States? What can this group actually do in this World Cup?
So this is an interesting question because you may have seen me post about this a couple days ago. There's only been 8 or 9 teams that have won the tournament, but the idea that an underdog can't make a deep run is pretty fundamentally misunderstood, for starters, right?
Morocco just got to the semifinals, right? Last time, right?
So you think about, there's only been 22 World Cups. There's only been 11 with more than 16 teams. So if we want to compare it to anything in American sports, the most comparable thing is probably the NCAA tournament in the modern World Cup. You have had a number 8 seed Villanova win the NCAA tournament. You have had a number 7 seed UConn. So when Pochettino comes out and he says, I want to win the World Cup, it's not as absurd as people think. Eventually there will be a long shot winner. It's going to happen, but there's been 42 NCAA tournaments since there's been 64 teams. There's been one World Cup where there's been 48 teams. So do I think they'll win the World Cup? No, but I don't think it's stupid to aim for that.
Well, you also have to realize that, no one's doing this intentionally unless there's 4 minutes left in the game. But you also have the concept of you can play this thing. You can be open for 90 minutes and then try to play for the penalty kicks once you get to the knockout stage. Obviously, in the group play, the game just ends in a tie. But I'm not as dismissive as I'm like you. I'm not as entirely dismissive about the U.S. having some sort of run in them. I think the Richards injury is important.
I think the realistic thing you're looking for is to at least match 2002 and go to the quarterfinals.
Right, correct.
I think, semifinals, there's precedent there with South Korea as a host in 2002. Similar level of talent. Morocco, 4 years ago, similar level of talent, I think. But that's the realistic ceiling, not the goal, right? I think quarterfinals is a definition of success in this tournament.
How much do you think? And Canada and Mexico have the same issue, right? But how much not having to participate in the qualifying series? How much has that impacted them, good or bad? Do you think?
I think it's a real debate whether hosts at this point should get that bye to the tournament themselves, because whether it's helpful or not, I think, you always see every host nation sort of goes through this cycle of anxiety because they don't have competitive matches to show them exactly where they are. And, ironically, I think in some ways, maybe the best thing it's done is I think it's almost become cool among the American public to say, oh, this team isn't very good now, because they've seen a lot of, sort of mixed results against higher level teams in particular. And maybe it's lowered expectations a little bit. And I think, I sort of think like the parallel to the 1980 Olympic team in ice hockey.
Sure.
They didn't really have competitive games, but they had some exhibitions where they got their doors blown off, right? And they still believed in the dressing room, but nobody else, including Americans, were expecting anything of them. And so I think from that perspective, it's probably slightly helpful. And let's be real, like the qualifying games that they will have played in 2030 before going to the 2030 World Cup, if they qualify, will look very little like the World Cup games that they're going to play. The region is not particularly challenging. You have Mexico and Canada, but you now have like 5 or 6 spots from CONCACAF. So I don't know that qualifying in the future is going to provide much value for, American teams anyway, nearly as much as it will to schedule high-level friendlies as they've done against Belgium, against Germany, against Senegal, against Portugal. So, if anything, I think the best thing it's done is lower expectations a little bit.
Yeah, and I guess the other thing is the one thing it does do, the one piece of value, it does give you a chance to see up-and-coming players in a tested kind of market, right? Does that make sense?
Absolutely, and I think that's one of the things that has really given a lot of American fans anxiety. Is it's very clear that right up until June, when he named his team, Pochettino was experimenting the whole way through. He was not saying, "Oh, we have to get results. Oh, we have to beat Portugal. We have to beat Belgium." He was right up until the time when he named his 26-man squad. He was using every minute of competitive action he had to try to find out things about his players. And you're right. You can't do that when you have to play 10 or 12 or 14 qualifiers. You have to get results. So there's definitely, especially if you're trying to kind of take a high ceiling, low floor approach to the World Cup, I think that is helpful.
Nicholas Quillen covers soccer and the World Cup for Field Level Media and Bleacher Report. He's with us here on GCR. Ian, I'm going to offer a parallel because I am absolutely, not as bullish and in the group of U.S. soccer fans that you're talking about whose expectations are lower. The comparison that I'll make, because I know you also cover the Orioles, is a couple weeks ago everybody's saying, well, yeah, but the American League just isn't very good. And what I would say in return is, okay, right, but does that matter? The Orioles are part of that. Like, that only matters if the Orioles can take advantage of it. I'm looking for the argument for the U.S., and the best thing I can get is, well, hey, this is that crazy things happen, and hey, the group is not all that daunting, and it certainly isn't. But I haven't heard an argument for what uniquely will make this team better than what it is that we've seen, what the real strengths are. We don't even think that Pulisic has been playing all that well, although I know he looked good 2 weeks ago. Like, I'm looking for the argument for why we are not giving the U.S. team enough credit for what they're capable of doing.
Well, so, part of it is just wildly different probabilities with terms of sample size, right? Like, do I think the U.S. team could go in a league with 20 of the best teams in the world and win a 38-team league? A 38-game league, the way the Premier League is? Absolutely not. Like, they are not that good. Over 38, 40 matches, they would get exposed. That's not what is being asked of you in a World Cup. You play 3 group games, you get out of your group, and then it's 5 single elimination matches. And, it just brings a lot, to use a gambling parlance, it brings a lot more variance into the equation. The other thing I'll tell you is, coming at it from a gambling perspective, I don't think we are accustomed to the kind of home field advantage that the United States will have in an actual World Cup match relative to the typical home matches that they have. And if you talk to bookmakers, football or soccer is the strongest home field advantage sport that is out there. And when you're talking about one goal making a difference, the difference between a 2-1 loss or a 1-1 draw and getting to extra time and getting to penalties, that's a really significant edge that you have. The third thing is I would counter a little bit with the claims that Pulisic hadn't been playing that well. He hasn't been scoring, but, I'll claim I don't watch every Serie A match that he plays with AC Milan, but the people who follow Milan closely say he's actually been pretty productive in his role as an attacking midfielder, and sort of the concerns over him scoring are overblown a little bit. And then, the other thing I think is, like, this, don't get me wrong, this could go very, very wrong. They're certainly capable of crashing out in the group stage.
I think they are too.
But what I think Pochettino has done to his credit is he's definitely looked at this as a high ceiling, low floor kind of endeavor. You don't bring Gio Reyna into the team if you're trying to just be safe and get out of the group and get to the round of 16 and call it a success. You don't ride with, I think Matt Freese is going to be the starter in goal.
For sure.
I don't necessarily know that he's the best goalkeeper in 90 minutes, but you talk about extra time and penalties. He's far better than Matt Turner is when it comes to the penalty kick scenario. That's a selection that you make specifically for tournament football. So I want to be clear. I'm not saying I'm bullish on this team per se, but I think they are acting like a team that actually wants to make the highest ceiling possible for this team, somewhat of a realistic probability.
I think also in the I think the order of the games. I was looking yesterday at a couple of other. Germany's got kind of a weird draw. I say draw meaning order of the games.
Right.
I really like our order of the games. I almost think there was a wink behind the scenes thing that went on there. I love playing.
I mean, who knows with FIFA, right?
Yeah. Oh, yeah. You think they might do something nefarious?
No.
I'm glad we're not playing Turkey until the end.
Well,
I like opening with Paraguay because we're used to that sort of style of soccer, based on our play in CONCACAF. I love the draw, the order of the games.
I agree with you, and you could definitely, the other thing is that you have a very strong chance. If you get 4 points in the group with the new format, you have a very strong chance of advancing, even if you finish third.
Right.
You don't need to finish second.
Correct.
But additionally, Paraguay, I don't know if you've seen, but Julio Enciso was injured in his in Paraguay's final friendly tune-up in their home nation, and he's going to be out for the first 2 matches. He plays at Atletico Madrid. He's arguably their best player. Without him, Paraguay's attack leans a lot more on the 30-year-old Miguel Almiron, who is playing at Atlanta United and who hasn't been the same player he was before he went to the Premier League and played with Newcastle for several years. So I agree with you, not just the teams they got in the group, but the order of the matches helps them out significantly. If you can get 4 points from those first 2 games, you can go into Turkey, not saying you're guaranteed to progress, but you can manage the situation a lot better and not have to worry about, playing wide open, looking for 3 points in that match.
Ian, for the casual soccer fans that, pay attention when there's a World Cup, and so they know about Messi and Ronaldo and Mbappe, who are maybe the like superstars that have sprung up over the course of the last 4 years that they should be more aware of and more maybe interested in watching going into this World Cup besides those couple of known commodities from 4
Well,
years
I mean,
ago?
Lamine Yamal is the obvious choice. He's an 18. He's the most hyped teenager at the World Cup since Pelé was 17 years old going to Sweden in 1958. He's 18. He's the best player on FC Barcelona. He, I believe, was in the running for La Liga Player of the Year. He already has a major tournament title to his name, being sort of more of a supplemental player on the Spain team that won the 2024 European Championship.
And I think are the betting favorites still to win the World Cup.
Yes, they are. I'm not sure if I agree with that, but he's the one that comes out to my mind. Bukayo Saka on England, who apparently is dealing with some Achilles issues, but has been arguably Arsenal's most important player during their run to win the Premier League and go to the Champions League final. He's only 22 or 23, I think. Other teenagers. It's a good question because I was thinking as I was sort of previewing this tournament, it is a weirdly old tournament. There's a lot of names that are getting attention. It's a weirdly old tournament among players, and it's a weirdly young tournament among managers because you're seeing a lot of like bigger names from the European club game in managing at the World Cup, which is kind of unusual. But yeah, I mean, like it's hard to beyond Yamal. It's hard to know because there's like 20 or 30 people who could kind of fill that description. But Yamal is like. I mean, we're talking multi-gener. He's done things that Messi has not. That Messi was not doing at this age. Now, we've seen that sometimes that doesn't play out. I think Ronaldo was similar age when he went to the World Cup in 1998. He eventually won it in. This is the older Ronaldo, not Cristiano Ronaldo.
Mm-hmm.
He won it in 2002, but his career kind of flamed out early. We've seen a lot of teen and early 20-something guys sort of not have longevity in this sport because of how taxing it is on your aerobic fitness and the soft tissues that frequently get injured. But I mean, he's 1 and 1A, I think, as far as breakout talent.
Ian, where should folks be giving you a follow as things get underway the next couple of days?
Oh gosh, so it's funny because I was thinking I'm hardly having time to tweet with how much writing I've been doing. But at Yak Diesel, that's like Shaq but with an I instead of an SH. On X or Twitter. I'm also just Google my name. I'm doing so much right now for Bleacher Report, for Field Level Media, for Deadspin, for a couple other places. It's so much fun, but it's a little bit of a whirlwind. And just feel free to reach out on LinkedIn or any of those places. You can find me if you enter my middle name, Ian Nicholas Quillen.
Ian, we'll make sure we catch up as the World Cup goes along. Appreciate you, buddy. Thanks for hopping on today.
All right. Thank you so much for the opportunity, guys.
Ian Nicholas Quillen, covering soccer in the World Cup.
I think it's Kean.
Is it?
Yeah, like Ozzie Guillen.
I hate you.
It's Quillen. It's not Kean.
Thank you.
I was just trying to wind him up, Ian.
I hate you so much. God, I hate you.
I just wanted you to feel bad.
Yeah. Thanks, buddy. That means a lot to me.